We are here at UCLA on the 27th of July. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? Sunny, perfect weather. I couldn't ask for more. And Elliot is about to persuade us. Do I have time? Yes. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Elliot.
Hi, Elliot.
Has anyone ever here been drunk? Like you can't remember what's going on, you can't really react, you're sort of slow, things aren't going well. Well, that's how you feel when you're full out vegan. So today I'm here to convince you to not be a vegan. And I'll tell you 2 reasons why, in addition to 3 possible steps you can take in order to prevent these misfortunes. Now, I know everyone here today is a wonderful person, and I believe we all have potential, which is why I want to convince you not to be a vegan so that we can all reach our own potentials. And I really hope for that. So I hope by the end of it you're convinced not to be a vegan. The first reason is because there's the most important macronutrient you have in your body is protein. Now the problem with being a vegan is you can't get the protein without becoming overweight. So if you think about it, there are 3 main sources that vegans might take to get protein. First one is nuts, and the second one, tofu, and the last one would be beans. Unfortunately, none of these work very well. In a study shown, the average man has to eat about 56 grams of protein a day. Now, if you were to take plain old meat to get that 56 protein, comparing to the ones that the vegan has to take, you'd notice a great difference. Now, tofu is probably the healthiest, and if you take tofu, it'd be like taking an additional 1 ounce of olive oil and half a can of soda and chugging that down with that piece of meat in order to get that. But the other ones aren't as good. If you were to do it with beans, to get that much protein, you'd have to have about 6.5 cups worth of Coke in order to get that same amount of protein. And lastly, we have our nuts. If you were to do that, it'd literally be like taking half a cup of olive oil and chugging it right down with your meat, in addition to another two cups of Coke. So as you can tell, you just can't get your protein without becoming overweight by eating too much. Now the second reason I want you guys not to be vegans is because there's a very important vitamin that you just can't get. Vitamin B12. Now, it's a very important vitamin in that your body can't create it on its own. The only way to get it is through food. And the only food that has vitamin B12 are animal products. You can't get it through any plant source. And when you don't get your vitamin B12, you have those issues. So what they've noticed is if you don't get vitamin B12, which is very common in vegetarians and even more so in vegans, you become very difficult to work because your nervous system starts crashing. Your nerves just can't send the signals. So you start becoming very moody, you can't remember what's going on, your reaction times become slow. A lot of the associations that you feel when you're drunk happen when you lack in vitamin B12, and that happens when you're a vegan. Now that I've told you my 2 reasons, I want you to tell you 3 steps you can take. The first step you can take is take pills. Now this is the one I wouldn't suggest because as you probably know, when you take pills, about 10% of it you get of the vitamins and the rest of it's pretty much that expensive colored urine you're paying for. Now the second option is to be a vegetarian instead of the vegan. And by doing that, you can include eggs and you can include milk, and by including those you can get the vitamin B12 and you can get it healthier ways. And the last possibility, just include meat in your diet. Don't be a vegan. So I've told you 2 reasons why I don't want you to be vegans, and 3 reasons, or 3 possible steps you can take to prevent the misfortunes of being a vegan. I hope you're all convinced that not being vegans is a really bad thing. So I hope none of you become it. And I hope all of you will join me in being the best we can be by not being vegans. Thank you very much.
you.
4 minutes, 30 seconds.
4 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay, let's start in the front today. How about that, Cynthia? Hi, Cynthia.
Electricity was very fluent. There was like no
He's fluent. How could he improve or grow?
Hi, my name is Isa 2.
Hi, Isa
I
2.
didn't really see anything wrong with his speech.
He was perfect. Just like Jesus. Okay, good. Anybody else want to help make some comments? Pro, con, or in between? Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Pedro.
What's your name?
Pedro.
Pedro. Hi, Pedro.
I really like something you did at the beginning, that it was like the book says, instead of saying that this has 20 grams of protein or something that's like really abstract that people won't get, like you said, this is the same as drinking this amount of Coke, or so that really illustrates like how bad it is. So it's better.
Okay, good. So use something from the book. Well, gosh. You started off with a rhetorical question, which I think is okay. I think your rhetorical question was not a good one because it's a rather negative thing. How many of you have been drunk? How many of you have beaten your wife? How many of you have taken cocaine? Or how many of you have smoked pot? Who's going to raise their hand? Who wants to admit they've been drunk? That's a pathetic state to be in. Now, I'm not saying people and everyone here hasn't been drunk, but you don't want to ask a rhetorical question that demands some sort of, admission of unlawfulness. Okay? You tried to analogize being drunk to being a vegan. And I felt the transition was rather abrupt, and there was no foundation for it when you first stated it. Now, not saying you didn't make your case later in your paper, but it wasn't a case for it in the beginning, so it was an abrupt transition, your comparison. So, you started off by saying, today I want you to be a vegan. Now, I think that needed to be defined, because I'm not sure everyone knows what a vegan is, as opposed to a vegetarian, as opposed to, what are the other, there's millions of it, lacto, what is it?
Presbyterian.
Presbyterian, yeah, etc. Yeah, and etc. So, a vegan is what?
Someone who does not consume any animal products.
Zero zip. Just fruits, vegetables, and nuts, right? And beans, yeah. So it needed to be defined there. Your significant statement was good. You said, I see potential in all of you, and I don't want you to fall into the pitfall of becoming a vegan like it's a bad thing. Your first reason was you can't get enough protein. And you talked about the fact that you have to eat beans, nuts, and tofu to get your protein. And this, according to you, causes you to gain weight. One of the troubles I had with your argument, you were supposed to be showing me you know how to make an argument from authority. And all you said was, studies show. Studies? What studies? What year? Where were they done? When? This is a sophisticated audience. This is a research university. This is UCLA. You can get away with in the corner bar, studies show. Well, it's not going to cut it up here on the hill, right? So, and you being a medical student know better than anyone that you need to cite your evidence and your date. So a clue to the rest of you, if you haven't put in the citations of where your evidence comes from, put it in now, write it in now, and the date, write in the date, so that you don't get points taken off for that. So The only thing I would say about that, and I agree with Pedro that your analogy with cut cans of Coke and that sort of trying to illustrate how many beans you'd have to eat, which is a whole lot of them. Most vegetarians, in my experience, and I'm not saying my experience is universal, have been skinny to the bone. I don't know. But, so I haven't seen a lot of fat vegetarians, personally. But if you say so, so be it. It's a little counterintuitive to me, but I'm willing to admit I could be wrong. I'm just saying based on my experience. You're saying I feel sick about the articles about corrupted doctors misinforming people about health findings about vegetarianism. That's good. Your second reason was you don't get B12, you also don't get K2, but people answer, and the vegetarians, they take B12 supplements and they live happily ever after. Now, your argument that most of it comes out of urine and doesn't quite do the job wasn't that compelling to me. I don't think that really answered it. I don't think that was a perfect answer to that. I think you need more evidence on that. Now, you talked about a lot of problems with people becoming vegans, headaches and genetic defects and all kinds of stuff. And once again, we need citations for this and where it came from. You're making arguments from authority, so it's just not Elliot saying it, but some medical doctor. I see you have an article here. It's called The Neuropsychiatry of Vitamin 12 Deficiency in Elderly Patients, but it didn't say that they were vegetarian. Let's see, where's your bibliography? Do you have a bibliography? It's here somewhere, huh? Did I skip it? I don't see your bibliography, but maybe it's... Oh, there it is. Okay, I stand corrected. And then finally, you propose some concrete actions you can take. First one is you propose to take supplemental pills, which is a little contradictory to your thing above, but that's what vegans do, or they occasionally eat fish once a month or something. You make the claim the vitamin pills are inefficient, but you don't have any evidence to back up your assertion, so you're not making a good argument from authority, which is what we're supposed to be learning. Second, vegetarian instead of vegan. That was good. And now finally we got a definition of the difference between vegetarianism and pure vegan. We figured it out, sort of. And the third option is eat meat. Just keep on going. Part of the concern that I think, Elliot, that you need to address is that, some doctors have found eating a lot of beef and bacon and red meat, is harmful to the colon, etc., and to the body, and stores the wrong kinds of fats and so forth. So, there's something to be said for moderation, right? So, eating a moderate amount of meat once or twice a week or something. And then what comes after the actions that people take in your outline?
The tieback?
A big wrong. Help him out. What comes after the actions people take? What do we then go on to say? I want you to take these 3 actions, and then what comes next? Yeah, I'm looking for the B word.
Benefits?
Thank you. Your prompt said to outline the benefits. So you didn't follow the prompt precisely, and you didn't have benefits in there. You skipped over the benefits. You have them written out here, but you didn't say it. But that's an integral part of persuasion. Is, hey, it's beneficial to me? Wow. I'm going to be a vegetarian. Summary was fine. Conclusion. There should be no doubt in this room you should avoid vegetarianism in its harmful ways. Your tie back, you compared it to alcohol, and that was okay. So let's look at your canais now. Work on moving without being awkward. Make sure there are no awkward pauses or ums. Try to sell the significant statement. How'd it go?
I think I didn't hit the last one that well, but the other two I think I've improved on.
Yeah, that's improved on it. You walked better. Yeah, I would just say overall, there was an extreme. Well, I want you to come back to something in a minute, but I would just say overall, the extremeness of your proposal hurt your ability to be persuasive. The absolutist nature of what you took on, right? Rather than saying, eat less meat, right? Eat more fruits and vegetables. You were just, whatever you do, don't become a vegan, right? Let's go through the acronym and see how you did. Begin. Starts with an S.
Oh, S6. S simple. U.
No, we'll talk about, was your message simple? Talk about your speech. Was it? Did you simplify your message enough?
Simple. Don't be a vegan. I think that was a rather simple message.
Okay.
U was unexpectedness. I don't think that one was the best.
Yes, we all want to have and design into our speeches something unexpected. Pourquoi, as they say in Paris. Because it grabs attention. It holds attention. It makes our speeches sticky. So what was unexpected in your speech?
It wasn't that unexpected.
Yeah. So you need to check the acronym before every time you speak, after every time you speak, see how well you did. This is the same way, look at that evaluation sheet that I gave you, the things that I'm looking at, see that you met each of those. Okay, so go on.
C was concrete. I think I gave concrete examples with concrete details.
Of what to do, okay.
The other C was... I don't remember what the other C was.
You're on a roll, Elliot. Can you help him? Thank you. Credibility. Explain the concept. Say how you used it in your speech, Elliot.
I guess I wrote it, but I didn't include it when I spoke in the citing.
Yeah.
I didn't refer to my authoritative,
Right.
the places of authority in which I withdrew the information.
Right. And Elliot said an important thing, was he wrote it in here, but he didn't cite it. But no one here could read it and hear it. So they didn't know it came from 2015 from a great source. They just had to trust Elliot. Well, that's not good enough. We're trying to learn to make arguments from authority. Okay, keep going.
E was emotional. And I didn't exactly sell emotional, but I sold the part of why it's beneficial, self-beneficial.
Yeah. It would have been helpful if you had tried to become a vegan, your sister had become a vegan, your mother had become a vegan, your girlfriend at UC Riverside became a vegan, and she became a skeleton, an anorexic, something, I'm just saying. Something that got you thinking about this. Because I have no idea, except you running your hand down a list of topics on my possible topic board, why you care so much about vegans. Why do you care? Why do you care if she's a vegan? Hey, she lives in Turkey, free country, right? Why do you tell us?
Why do I care?
Yeah. Why did you do this speech?
Well, I guess I just find it a really poor diet choice in terms of how it's portrayed in advertising compared to what it is in reality.
Any personal experience with these? Okay, go on with the acronym.
S was stories.
And stories and more stories. How'd you do on stories?
No stories.
Little
Extra.
story light, huh? So, what I was looking for, Elliot, was that we incorporate the theory in practice. And you show me you can take the theory and put it into practice. So that's what I was looking for in this speech. Thank you for volunteering first and showing everyone else what things to do and not to do. Thank you, Elliot. Elliot, phone home. Okay. Do we have another volunteer? Elliot, phone home. This is out of 200 points, by the way, folks. I have to call on someone? Really? You're always ready. I can count on you. Thank you. Let me adjust Sienna. Yes. Sienna, persuade us.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sienna.
Hi, Sienna.
Love thy neighbor as you love thyself. This commandment has endured the millennia because it's proven to be key to maintaining healthy and functional societies. It's also at the heart of all public health initiatives. So today I want to persuade all of you to get vaccinated and to also vaccinate your future children. That's right, I'm getting you all early. I'm going to tell you 2 reasons why you should all get vaccinated and also share 3 concrete actions that you can take to help protect the public safety of your own community. Much like a fine work of art, the current golden age of public health that we're now enjoying requires dedicated stewardship if it is to last. And this is why I hope that you will all take my argument to heart and consider vaccination compliance an integral part of your responsibility as a neighbor and a member of the 21st century. The first reason why you should all get vaccinated is vaccines are effective and they are safe. In 1998, The Lancet published an article by Andrew Wakefield suggesting a link between autism and the MMR vaccine. The study at the heart of this article has been found to be fraudulent by Godley in 2011 and by many subsequent studies. And the paper associated with it, along with Mr. Wakefield's medical license, has since been revoked. And yet, concern over the safety of vaccines still persists. But if we look at the data, we'll find that all this hand-wringing is for nothing. According to the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, data drawn from this year, they say that between the years of 2006 and 2014, a time frame in which 2.5 billion doses of vaccines were administered in the United States, only about 3,000 claims were filed for adverse reactions to vaccines were upheld in a court of law. This means that you have about a 1 in a million chance of suffering a true adverse reaction to a vaccine. To put it a different way, a pogo stick is exponentially more likely to send you or your child to the hospital than a vaccine is. I'm passionate about this issue because time and time again, vaccines have been shown to be vastly more effective than they are dangerous. The second reason why all of you should get vaccinated is because it is an integral part of your responsibility as a good neighbor. In the 60s, Japan had a program where they inoculated all of their school-aged children against the flu every year. When this program ended in the 90s, scientists noticed that there was a spike in the number of elderly people who were dying of the flu. Wondering what was going on here, Dr. Charo and his team investigated in 2011 and found that inoculating these school-aged children had actually helped save the lives of about 1,000 grandmas and grandpas per year in Japan. So what's going on here? This is what we call herd immunity. It's when a lot of people in a community are all vaccinated against the same disease, it becomes infinitely less likely that someone who's susceptible to that disease will catch it. There are people in your community today who are susceptible but unable to receive a vaccine. Whether it's a young boy who's undergoing chemo, or maybe it's a baby girl who just got a heart transplant and is on immunosuppressant drugs to prevent her body from rejecting her new organ. These individuals are at risk, they're immunosuppressed, and they cannot receive a vaccine. And they depend on each one of you to have a vaccine to protect them from potentially deadly diseases. I believe that it is all of our responsibilities as lucky citizens of first world countries, as members of the 21st century, but also as good neighbors to protect the most vulnerable people in our community. The easiest and most effective way to do this is to get vaccinated and to increase the herd immunity of your community. And so now I want to share with you 3 ways in which you can help to increase the public safety of your own community and realize your potential as a good neighbor. One should be very obvious at this point. Get vaccinated. Whether it's your annual flu vaccine or making sure that your kids are up to date, it's the best way to protect your neighbors. Number 2, get your titers checked. What a lot of people don't know is the immunity you get from a vaccine wears off at different rates for different people. Luckily, there's a very quick blood test that your doctor can do to see if you're still immune to everything that you've been vaccinated against. I get my titers checked regularly, and I was shocked to find that at the age of 24, my immunity from measles, which lasts a lifetime for most people, had already expired. Luckily, a quick booster shot later, and I once again can say that I'm contributing to the herd immunity of my community against measles. Third, I would like you all to try to use the commandment, love thy neighbor as you love thyself, in order to reframe the way that we talk about vaccines in this country. Public safety and public health should be everyone's responsibility. If you do these 3 things, you'll be helping not only yourself, but also the most vulnerable in your community to live longer and healthier lives. In summary, I have told you 2 reasons why you should get vaccinated, and provided you 3 concrete actions you can take to increase the public health and safety of your own community and fulfill your role as a good neighbor. 1, get vaccinated. 2, check your titers. And 3, reframe the debate about vaccines so that vaccine compliance becomes a way that we define neighborly virtue. There should be no doubt in this room that you should all get vaccinated and also get your future children vaccinated as well. In doing so, you will be truly loving yourself, loving your neighbor as you love thyself, helping not only to protect your own person, but also your community against preventable but potentially deadly diseases.
Thank you. What was the time?
5:30.
5:50. Perfect.
No, 30.
5:30. Okay, let's go over here. What'd you like?
Hi, I'm Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
I think she did very good. She moved well. She was fluent. I like the way, and I'm convinced from her speech, so it was good.
You were persuaded by it.
Yes.
Good. How can she improve?
I'm Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
I don't really know, to be honest. No suggestions.
She was perfect. Well, Sienna, you still have the same problem that you've always had, and I wish I had, because I don't get any more chances to break you of it unless you join the debating team, which maybe you should. You speak very fast.
Yeah.
And in a persuasive context, you want to let some stuff sink in. Andrew Wakefield was repudiated by not 1, 2, 3, 5 studies. His medical license was taken away. This so-called Jenny McCarthy link between, vaccines and autism is just plain not supported through science, right? Well, watch yourself tonight, how I delivered that message and how you deliver it. The information was beautiful, it was all there, don't get me wrong. But you really need to work on your delivery. Are you afraid to go slow? Is this just nerves, or what's the dealio?
Yeah, mostly I was worried that I wasn't going to get through it in time.
What now?
I was just worried that I wasn't going to get through it in time, but I had the time, so I should have just...
Yeah, you should have.
Yeah.
And the other thing is time yourself on your own and edit. Take some stuff out, and I'll suggest some things that could have come out. Okay, so you started with the Bible, which is okay, I guess. Love thy neighbor as thyself. But it's also a truism, and so it worked okay. And you tied back to that, and so you understood the concept of bookends, and so I like that you did that well. Now, your thesis was very straightforward. Get your kids vaccinated. Keep them on schedule. Do it, and I'm going to give you, 2 reasons and 3 actions and the benefits. So that was fine. Your 6th statement was very good. I like the metaphor of the fine work of art, dedicated stewardship. Everyone has to help and participate to get this herd effect going and so forth. So it was good. Very important, especially in this 21st century where people are flying all over, heck and back. Okay, let's go to your main body. You first went right to the source, which is say, you did it in a positive way, which you made the claim that vaccines are safe and effective. And you immediately refuted Andrew Wakefield, and you had your own studies that you cited. My only suggestion would have been just a little bit more of dates and names and details, like say Goodley, Shapiro, Goodley, and Levington, and really spew them out and just say, all have repudiated, he lost his license. Okay, this should put this to an end. Okay. I feel passionately about this. You got your emotions in. That was just excellent. On your second reason, you talked about what happened. You talked about herd immunity and what happened. You talked about Japan. What I expected to hear you talk about, and I was wondering if you considered it as one of your arguments, is the Disneyland scare and the uptick in polio and measles now in this country when we had eradicated it.
I did, but there's fewer. The fact that there had been a solid study taking into account, like they controlled for 10 years before and after the study.
Yeah.
It was a much stronger study than the
They're
circumstantial
doing it
evidence
this
than the most
way, yeah.
recent one.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm very concerned, obviously, and I think it's a pretty good emotional scare tactic to talk about the idea that if the rich on the west side, which is primarily where you have the lack of vaccines going on here, decide to sit it out because, they'll take the benefit of the herd immunity without participating. It kind of is a bad precedent, right? So I think we've just done a little more on the fear in this speech, but you kept it positive, and that was good. On your concrete actions, they were good. And one thing that I've heard doctors say is if you're so concerned about them, get them spaced out a little bit if you don't want to have them all at once. So this body can react to it. I like your talking about people getting their vaccination susceptibility check, and I think that was new information for a lot of people and showed that you were very well researched. And you gave your personal example of how you were susceptible to measles, and you now have taken care of that. And then you tied back to love thy neighbor, be a good citizen. By doing these things, your benefits, I think, could have been a little bit longer. We'll have a safer society. We'll have da-da-da-da-da. Your summary, your conclusion, and tie back were all fine. Okay, here you go. Your Kanai, you said, slow down. Avoid speeding up, especially toward the end. Develop a clearer, more concrete, significant statement. Make sure to emphasize the conclusion. Don't forget it. How to go?
Out of the last two, I did pretty well, but I mean, I wasn't the runaway truck that I was the last time. I was just pretty steadily speeding.
Yeah. Yeah, you were zipping right along. You know, yeah. So we've talked about that. Let me hear you go through your acronym real quick.
Simple. I thought the core of my speech was pretty simple. Just get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Unexpected. I thought that there were some unexpected stories in there. I specifically put the Japanese example to open up that knowledge gap of why this is happening, and then using herd immunity to fill it. Also, the titers example was supposed to be.
Yeah, titers example was good.
C, for concrete, I thought I gave a lot of concrete evidence and tried to wrap my statistics in a more reasonable association than just a number.
Not just numbers.
Right.
She said something all important there, folks. Statistics have to have an association or some relationship with the thesis or what you're talking about, which I think you did nicely.
Credibility, I cited my sources and I tried to make an appeal to identity.
Yes. Yes, and I'm a real stickler on that, and I just said you could have done even more. But you were much more than the first speech, so that was very good, yes.
And then emotions, I think by creating kind of the concept of like the person with the heart transplant and making that a really emotional connection in the example. I told you how I felt about each one of the points that I made.
Yeah.
The stories I gave you, specific stories, my personal story in Japan.
Okay.
Wakefield.
Let me go back just to emotion for a moment and suggest that some of your emotional connection was undercut by your speed. So just be aware of that. There's a trade-off there. I wouldn't make the trade-off in a speech like this. And I think that you're talking about your children, for God's sakes, you know, and they're passing on your DNA and living a long time, you know, and you want them to do that, right? I felt your passion. I felt you really believed that, and that came through, and that was excellent. So you did a very good job. Thank you. Okay. Any more volunteers? Well, we had somebody come in late. Was that Christina?
That's me.
How you doing?
Better now.
Praise the Lord. So you owe me 2, huh?
Yes. I do.
Okay.
I have my persuasive ready to go.
What about your PC?
I can do that next class.
I guess you'll have to. Okay. Hang on just a minute. Let me find Sierra. Sienna. Okay. Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Great. Thank you. Well, actually, you just got it. You got to only hear one speech, right?
I didn't even hear her speak.
You didn't hear. Why don't you wait and hear a speech or two and sort of learn from
Okay.
the mistakes of others and quickly make adjustments if you can.
Okay.
So I bet Cynthia's ready.
I like your shirt. That's cool.
Yeah, a nice color of blue. Notice she has her deep internet research. Do you have your self-evaluation here?
Yes.
Her bibliography. She's ready to roll. She's managing attention, communicating respect, fighting friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi, my name is Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia.
I am only one, but still, I am one. I cannot do everything, but still, I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do something that I can do. This is a quote by Helen Keller that I choose to live by. As some of you may recall, I am personally committed to volunteering, and today I am here to persuade you to invest some of your time to find your passion while serving others. So I will give you 2 reasons why you should volunteer and 3 actions that you could take to start volunteering, and also some benefits if you do follow this advice. So,
According to Danielle.
according to Danielle Ritzenberg, the U.S. volunteer rate has been the lowest in 10 years as of 2013. Only 25% of the population is volunteering. That is 1 in 4 people. Furthermore, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the people who volunteer the least are the people that are 20 to 24 years old. And if you think about this, this is us, this is college students. And yes, we're busy, but at the same time, this is the time when we're deciding what we want to do with the rest of our lives. And how are we supposed to decide if we don't get out there and expose ourselves to the kind of things we think we're interested in? So that's the first reason that I'm inviting you to volunteer, is because it really helps you see if you want to pursue the kind of career that you're considering. Personally, when I volunteered at the Ronald Reagan, I realized one department that I don't probably want to work in. So once I volunteered in the graveyard shift, which is kind of when there's less volunteers and you have more opportunity to kind of like tag along with one of the workers and see more like interesting things. So it was like 3 a.m. and Jake, one of the EMTs, got paged to go to the ER, and I was kind of hanging around with him for a bit, so he kind of like just decided to let me go with him. So I went and I stepped into the emergency room, and I kind of just like went to the corner. I didn't want to be in anybody's way, and then before I knew it, the procedure was over. And I just realized like I froze the whole time. I didn't really know what was going on, and this helped me realize that I probably will not be good in the ER, or with trauma. I am more committed to working with the patient as a whole and not trying to stay like one part of them, if they get in an accident. Another reason, or the second reason that I want you to volunteer, is because you get the kind of knowledge that you can't find in books. You get this mix of emotions that you can only experience, but you can't really put into words. I experienced this once when I was volunteering in an orphanage, and in the orphanage, of course, there's a lot of children that don't have parents. There's also some children whose parents can't afford to feed them on a daily basis, so they take them there and they go visit them on the weekends, and they sometimes take them out to eat or to play. And one day when it was snack time, Alfonso, or also known as Poncho, he kindly asked if he could have another snack for his cousin Alex, who was out eating with his mom. And then throughout the day, he just kept asking for whatever we gave him for something for his cousin Alex. Like if it was like coloring pages, he asked for extras to share with his cousin when he came back. And I realized how amazing this 7-year-old was for not only thinking about himself, but about his cousin who wasn't even there. Kind of always kept him in the back of his mind, and this helped me realize you just learn so much from everywhere where you volunteer. So some of the actions you could take to start volunteering yourself is, one is simply Googling like UCLA volunteer organizations, and there will be some that pop up, and you could volunteer from like in a school or a hospital or whatever you choose. The second thing you could do is take a trip to the career center and ask about internships or orgs that relate to your field of interest, and they will help you find some, and they can also help you with the application process if it requires them, because some volunteers organizations do. The third thing you could do if you're not ready to commit to an organization, you could find like events that only go on for like one day and volunteer there. A great example of this is the Special Olympics going on here at UCLA for the whole week. So if you're interested, you could probably find somewhere to volunteer your time there. So I have given you, when you do this, you will feel really happy and proud that you're investing your time to benefit somebody else. But in the long run, you could also see how this experiences and knowledge help you in your career path. So in summary, I have given you 2 reasons why you should volunteer your time, and I've given you 3 concrete actions that you could do to start volunteering and some benefits if you follow this advice. And there should be no doubt in this classroom that you should consider volunteering. And as Helen Keller said, you can't do anything, and this is important. You can't do everything, and this is important to know when you go into the volunteer field, because sometimes you just want to change the whole world. But it's important to know that you probably can't change the whole world, but you can change somebody's world for the better. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're in the front row here. 533. What did you like?
Hi, Christina.
Hi, Christina.
I really liked it. I thought it was very clear and all your, you kind of stuck to the script, I guess you could say. Like you really
The prompt.
laid it out. Yeah, you stuck to the prompt really well. So you kind of laid everything out. It was very easy to follow.
Very logical.
Yeah.
2 reasons, 3 actions, some benefits.
Yep.
Good personal storage. Yeah, you did it all. Improvement? Oh, is there somebody new we haven't called on? Let's hear from Elliot on improvement.
Hey, I'm Elliot.
Hi, Elliot.
I love the stories note, but I didn't really notice any stats that went with it or something that gave you that sense of authority.
Okay. Interesting. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about your speech. Cynthia, I love the Helen Keller quote. It's a good one, and it suggests to people that feel overwhelmed by how many problems there are in the world, if they just take one small kind action, it can make a difference. It can cause a ripple. The poet Emily Dickinson wrote, "If I can stop one heart from breaking, I'll not have lived in vain. If I can ease one life the aching, or cure one pain, or help one fainting robin back into his nest again, I'll not have lived in vain." Same concept that Helen Keller was expressing, right? Just doing small acts of kindness can make a difference. So I like your introduction. Your thesis preview was good. You quoted Danielle Kurtzelben. You didn't tell us the date. You said it in here, but it's 213, and where it came from, okay, the source, that would have enhanced its credibility. And I think that's what Elliot was talking about a little. And then you had your second statistic from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Again, we need the date and a little more authority given to your quote. But beyond those little trivial things, I thought your quote of young people not volunteering very much was very dramatic. Was a compelling part of your significant statement. I thought it was well written and well thought out and well done. And the fact that volunteering is a new low, those two really do. You did create an imperative through your significant statement, so that was good. On your first reason, you told us about volunteering at Ronald Reagan Hospital, and you talked about working the graveyard shift. And then the story kind of went vague. We didn't really, you went down to ER. We didn't really get the details. Was it a gunshot wound? Was it an automobile accident? Was it a motorcycle crash? Did the patient live or die? We don't know. You left us hanging. You left us in the emergency room with all kinds of unanswered questions. But nonetheless, you did tell a story, and you did tell us that you learned something from that you didn't want to work in ER. Great. Now, on your second story, you talked about the orphanage. This was a very powerful story because you've discovered something very wise that you should remember, that not all knowledge comes from books, from the great books of the Western world, from Aristotle and Plato. It also comes from our own experience of living and volunteering and living life and noticing what's going on around us. And you gave us an example of when you volunteered at the orphanage. You saw a little boy named Poncho really have a highly developed sense of altruism at a very young age. And you were very moved and touched by that. That was a good story. Now, on your proposed concrete action, Google volunteer organizations at UCLA. I guess that's good for this group. Go Google. Right? There's a volunteer center somewhere on campus. I know that the Chancellor Carmisdale set it up and was real big on there be a public experience for students of giving public service. I don't know how far it went, but you could have mentioned where to go specifically. The more specific you are, the better. The Career Center with internships was good, and just volunteering one day at the Special Olympics or going to a local nursing home and asking the staff who never gets visitors is a way to brighten up somebody's day. And then when you perform these actions, you almost skipped it, but you didn't. You had good benefits, and so that was well done. Your conclusion, there should be no doubt in this room, and your tie back to Helen Keller was great. You said your canais were as follows: give audience a chance to respond, have a better tie back, and emphasize 1, 2, and 3 of your actions, right? How'd it go?
I think maybe I was speaking
A little louder.
I think I was speaking a little fast.
Uh-huh.
I think I did mention the 1 and the 2 and the 3 actions that you should take. The second one was
Better tie back audience.
oh yeah. So
Time to respond.
Last time I forgot to kind of include a tie back.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't the greatest, so I thought I'd do better this time. And I think I did.
Yeah, it was better. Do you think you gave the audience a chance to respond?
Probably not. I was speaking
Could have been a little slower, yeah. Okay, well, let's hear your self-evaluation on the stickiness of your speech.
So the first one is simple, and I thought it was a simple message. I was encouraging you to volunteer. The U was unexpected, and I try to make unexpected that you learn other than from books. From every little experience or everywhere you go to volunteer, you learn something.
Not just from books.
Concrete, I try to give concrete examples, like my experiences volunteering. The others are concrete, credible. I think I kind of forgot to say where I got my sources.
Right.
So that would have really helped.
It's called argument from authority. And if you don't give the authority orally and say, the year Harvard Law School, Professor Jones said this in 2015, your audience won't think it's credible because they won't know it. You can't just say, oh, a study. That isn't fly. Okay, keep going.
Emotions. I try to put emotion with the story about the child, the 7-year-old child who was being selfless and not really thinking about himself, but his little cousin. And stories, yeah, I think I had.
I plenty of stories. Did a very nice job, Cynthia. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Okay, do we have another volunteer? see who's sitting behind me here. Yeah. This guy's hiding. You ready to go?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Question for you,
The camera is running down. What now? Get some questions about what you
do.
saw. Good.
No, I have a question about speech.
Yeah, good.
And I can tell you where I got my sources, but I didn't do a bibliography for them.
Okay, turn it in Wednesday.
I can usually know
But
that.
cite your sources orally today if you
Yeah.
can. You know, write them in right now. You know.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, I said in my email to remember your bibliography. He needs a stapler. Yes, he does.
Yeah, I forgot mine as well.
And your self-evaluation and your evidence from the deep internet, is that in Never Neverland?
No, I forgot.
He forgot. He'll bring it in Thursday. Yeah. Okay, Pedro, let's hit it before this camera dies on me. Wait a minute, your head's broken. Okay. He's managing attention, communicating respect, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi, my name is Pedro Perez Cuesta. and
Hi, Pedro.
I would like to start with a quote. And it says, in a society ruled by the eye per eye law, we will all end up blind. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. I'm going to talk to you about death penalty. I want to persuade you to be against death penalty. And, you know, if I don't accomplish this, I want at least that you rethink your position and think about why you are in favor of death penalty. So death penalty is a debate that has been going on in society for a long time, and I think it's a debate that society has to have in a very profound in a very profound way, where can both positions share the information so that we can have a proper opinion based on facts and not on emotions. So I think that we will all learn something about my speech, as you will know the main points about why I'm against death penalty. So my first point I would like to highlight is effectiveness. Is death penalty effective? Well, studies taken by the Death Penalty Information Center show us that it's not. Let me tell you a story. When a child, like young children, do something, or better on the other side, when they don't do things, it's because they are afraid of the punishment. When a child doesn't break something, it's because he's afraid of his mother or his father is going to tell him off. But criminals, when they are about to commit a crime, when they are about to kill someone, they don't say, oh, I really want to kill him, but I'm going to stop because we have death penalty on this state, so I won't do it. This simply doesn't happen. It's not the way it works. So effectiveness, so it's not an effective way to cut on criminal. We can see this because the states that have the death penalty still have more amount of murders than states that don't have death penalty. So my second point is fallibility. All law systems are fallible. That's something we have seen. That's the case of Joe Arridy. Joe Arridy was a criminal that was sentenced to the death penalty and that was executed for a crime he didn't commit. And that's not my opinion, that's a fact. The Colorado government gave him, exonerated him of his crime and gave him the pardon, I think it's called, later, after he was executed. So imagine we've all had this feeling where we have been told off for something we haven't done. You remember when we were in class, when we were on the school, and the teacher told us off because we were talking, and it wasn't us. It was our friend next to us. The ones we have older brothers, we have been told off because we broke the vase of the living room, and it wasn't us. It was our older brother. So imagine how being on death row or being executed for a crime you haven't done must feel like. Well, I hope you don't know that feeling. So now I would like to tell you 3 actions which you can take to rethink your position. First of all, think, why are you in favor of death penalty? Make a list on the evidence or the arguments that you have on this matter. Then do a research to see if the reasons why you think you're in favor of death penalty match with the information you see from the deep internet. And the third place, rethink your opinion. If your opinion and the information you've got from the deep internet match, then you have a right opinion. Because I think they are not right or wrong opinions, but they are good and bad arguments for opinions. So in summary, I've told you 2 reasons why I'm against the death penalty, and I've told you 3 actions you should take towards changing your opinion. Because I believe that once we have an opinion and we see whether the information and the evidence matches with our opinion, we will all feel better because we will know that we are right. So in conclusion, there should be no doubt in this room that you should be against death penalty. And I would like to finish with another quote that says that death penalty only injects more violence in an already hostile American society. So let's all work in favor of the abolition of the death penalty, and let's not end up all as a blind society. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, who hasn't spoken lately? I guess you haven't.
I am Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
It was good. His donation was good. I mean, he kept the audience attention.
Kept the audience attention.
Yeah.
Good intonation.
Yeah.
Okay, very personable speaker. Improvement.
Hi, I'm Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
I don't know if you did one of the, like when you perform these actions, this is how it makes you feel.
Benefits. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. Thank you. Well, Pedro, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but do you have the death penalty in Spain?
No.
So, and you're happy with that?
Yeah.
And you probably think America's pretty barbaric for having it, right? I mean, it's okay to say that. Yeah. Sure. Only a few countries still have it, China and Iran and something. So, you started off with a quote about Lex Talionis, right? An eye for an eye, right? And you said if we practice Lex Talionis, the result will be we'll all be blind, right? So that was interesting. I don't know why you didn't tie back to that. You have a different quote, but at least you had another quote at the end, so that was fine. So that was okay. So you didn't beat around the bush. You said, I want to persuade you to be against the death penalty, and you had kind of a soft sell, interesting approach, I thought. It was a very reasoned approach. You wanted people to look at the evidence, right? And you felt that would be... so your significant statement was, both sides kind of have their points, but if we'd listen to each other and really look at the evidence, then you might come to a different conclusion. So I liked your significant statement. On your first reason about the effectiveness, well, gosh. You said statistics show.
Yeah.
It doesn't work here, right? What statistics? Where? What studies? When? In America? How long? What states? What's going on? What year? You're a very credible guy. I believe you. You're a nice guy, but you would be even more powerful if you had evidence for your argument, see? Yeah. And the date of your studies. Yeah, date and year and where it was done. They may or may not deter. The evidence is a little fuzzy there, but at least especially when in the cases when it's usually in America. It's usually done for especially heinous crimes like people that kill a policeman, things like that, and so. Those people, and it's rarely administered now because of all the delays and appeals. That's another thorn in its coffin. But still, does it deter or not? Well, the person that committed the crime allegedly is deterred because they're no longer around. But that goes to your second argument, doesn't it? Right? So what I would say is if you're going to make there's no deterrence category, you need to have a stronger evidence base to say that all 10 studies that have looked at this, the Innocence Project, have found across there no deterrence. On your second reason, fallibility. Thought this was your best argument. Once again, you cited the name of some fella, Joe, in Colorado, who was killed by the death penalty and then exonerated. We didn't quite get the date, the time, the place, the circumstances, name. So we're all left kind of wondering about this. Yeah. And that's an awful thing because you can't take it back. And that's your strongest argument, I thought. You say here, even though judges and the whole judicial system reviewed cases, there are people that have been wrongly executed here in the U.S. And this is the case of Joe Arady, who was given an unconditional pardon after he was executed. Okay. So, on your actions, I like your soft sell approach. Think of why you're in favor of it. Write your reasons down. Research. Go out and look at the evidence yourself. So you were saying, go decide for yourself. I like that softer, persuasive approach to this. It's very much like, I think you have to do this when you're arguing about abortion, too. I don't think you can just come in and say, these are the facts, shut up, sit down, and listen to me. And then your third suggestion was if your arguments aren't supported by facts, then rethink your opinion, and I thought that was good. The benefits we needed to have a little stronger statement of after when they take the actions, right? You had it written here that they'll feel good and they'll feel that they really have a powerful argument. Your summary, your conclusion, and tie back were all fine. Your canais were to walk better. You did. And to have a clear, fluent structure, how to go.
Yeah, I think I worked better than the previous speeches.
Yes.
But I don't think it was like that clear for me. I did it better like when I was doing that poem.
You like to pace better. You feel more effective when you pace than when you just stand still. Okay, well, whatever. But you are making the same arguments, and you were still persuasive, and I think a little more effective just walking 3 times. Now, let me hear you go through the acronym for stickiness.
So the first one is simple. I think it was a simple, direct
Yeah.
message. Be against death penalty. Unexpected. I don't think it was that unexpected.
Yeah, you want to put something in that is to grab your audience. I think your case of Joe Abizzi, or whatever his name is, was a little unexpected.
Yeah.
So that bears a little more stressing. Okay, keep going.
Then credibility. I didn't
cite your studies.
My sources. And
yes,
so
orally.
So that took part of credibility.
Yeah.
Concrete. Yeah, I think it was pretty concrete.
Yeah. It wasn't too abstract, no.
Emotional. I think it's like the topic by itself, it's like really emotional because it's a strong thing to argue about, and someone being wrongly murdered. I think that's like the emotional part there.
Yeah.
And then stories, I put as much stories as I could, but it wasn't. Like, I could have told maybe the story of the wrongly executed criminal. That would have been a good story to tell.
Yeah, that would have been a good story to tell. The other thing I would say about the emotions is I would still put your own emotions in here. And, I had that little segment at the end of each section. I feel really strongly about this because, it seems to me it's just crazy that we go on doing a policy when there's no deterrence. And it's just crazy to me. It just makes me so mad that we're putting people to death that are innocent. We can't bring them back from the dead. And I feel really strong about that. See, those were spots you could have gone emotional, made an emotional connection. Otherwise, you had stories. Well, you got the job done. Better arguments from authority, Pedro. And I'll look to see your bibliography and your sources on Wednesday. Thank you. Okay, another volunteer. Who's still here? Let's see. You just did it. Okay. Yeah, you're ready.
I also did not print my sources when we got the geography.
What?
I didn't print out my sources.
But you'll bring them in Thursday.
Yeah.
And you'll cite them orally today, right?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. He also needs a stapler. Okay, good. I think I got this gift. Comes in real handy. Okay. Daniel stands before us, managing attention, making sure all phones and computers are away. He's communicating respect non-verbally. He's finding friendly eyes near the front of the face. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
A man was at the mic, and he screamed, "I can't take this anymore. I'm going to kill myself." He then hobbled out quickly, looking more like a zombie than a person, while tearing up immensely. As he brushed by me, I could not help but think what's going to happen in the future. Today, I want to persuade you guys to support veterans, because this man, a hero, a veteran, and somebody who's just looking for some assistance and shelter, deserves better than this. I assume all of you guys are very involved in helping the unfortunate and people that don't have the same opportunities. And this man clearly was a great example of that, and so is the entire veteran community. So I think you guys should definitely listen up and maybe begin to support veterans. The first reason I'm going to give you 2 reasons and 3 actions that you should take, along with the added benefits that will follow if you adopt my proposal.
Okay.
The first reason that I think you guys should support veterans is that many veterans are without shelter and are homeless, and I feel it's completely unjust. So, according to the LA Times, there are 50,000 homeless people that are veterans on any given night on the streets, and 6,000 in LA alone. And I personally feel that this is a crazy number, because these are men and women that are serving our country, sacrificing for us, and defending our rights, yet they're the ones that are sleeping on the streets at night. The second reason I think you guys should support veterans is that veterans have increasingly high rates of PTSD and aren't getting treated for it. And if you guys don't know, PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder, and it makes it very, very hard to live life the way they had before war. It really took something out of them. They can't celebrate holidays like 4th of July anymore because of the fireworks. They might be afraid to travel on airplanes. There's tons of effects that it has on people that are pretty much unrecoverable without a lot of assistance and help. According to a study from the Department of Veterans Affairs, around 30% of veterans that fought in the Vietnam War ended up with PTSD sometime in their life. And furthermore, that rate of PTSD is only increasing now with more recent wars. And this wide majority of these people aren't getting treated for this. They can't get the treatment, and they don't know about they need the treatment. So it's a horrible thing that happens to them. This is why many people end up homeless. Many people end up looking very crazy on the streets. So it's a very, very important thing that we, as a group, need to stop. So now I want to give you guys 3 actions that you can take to end veteran homelessness and help support veterans. First off, you can donate to veteran organizations. There are many organizations that are there to support veterans in terms of either mentally or give them shelter, and many of them are underfunded. Another way would be to volunteer at the Veterans Affairs, or VA, you guys might know. Veterans that live there full time many times don't see a lot of fresh faces, especially young faces, and when they see it, it brightens up their day more than you guys can imagine. And personally, as someone who has volunteered at the VA in the last couple summers, I do know this. They've told me how amazing it is to see kids there. Lastly, what you can do is just give gratitude to veterans on the street. If you see a homeless man that is supposedly a veteran, say thank you, give him money if he wants money, food if he wants food. These men and women might just hold on to a little more hope if you guys give it to them. I think after you guys do all this, you might just feel a little better about yourself because you're helping and serving those who've served us, and gratitude goes a long way. So in summary, I've told you 3 reasons and 2 actions that you should take to support veterans, and the benefits that will be provided if you follow this proposal. There should be no doubt in this room that supporting veterans and helping them is something that is a great and very important way to spend your time. Because we don't want people like that man at the mic at the Veterans Affairs Open Forum to be going up there and saying they're going to kill themselves. And you guys can make a change more than you can imagine. You guys can make a big difference in each of their lives.
Thank you. Okay, let's hear from Cynthia. What did you like?
Hi, my name is Cynthia, and I like that you follow the structure. It was really easy to follow. And I also like that you took time to explain what post-traumatic PTSD was, because some of us might have not known about this.
You've heard those letters, but weren't sure what it stood for. Yeah. How can he grow?
Hi, my name is Isatu.
Hi, Isatu.
I also like all that she said, but I also found that we kind of got stuck in certain areas, but then we always recovered.
Well, Danielle, you chose a speech that you cared about. I wish you hadn't worn a white shirt today on a white backdrop, but I guess that was all that was clean. Huh? Okay. When you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you're going to see that you didn't really set up the Mike story in the beginning properly with a reporter, what, when, where, how, why. We didn't get that it was a veterans night at the Mike at somewhere where it was a comedy night. We just heard it was a man at a mic. So we needed to have context. So we knew that there's a gathering of veterans where they can stand up and let off steam and talk. And one veteran stood up and said, then it made sense. Then it became very poignant, very sad. You skipped around a bit on your thesis and your preview and your significant statement, but you got it all in. So that was good. So your setup was fine. Your first reason was there's a lot of homeless veterans. So according to the LA Times, what date? Was it recent? Was it yesterday? Was it 10 years ago? We don't know, but it would be more credible if we knew that and they were citing a study or they were quoting someone that found this data. So we don't want to get it. It's too late now, but that's the idea. So you have argument from authority, give it credibility. And I like the way that you talked about how you feel about that it's unjust. These people that defended our country ought not be sleeping out in the cold at night. That's good. That was good emotion there. On your second reason for PTSD, which you defined wisely and adequately and nicely, that was well done. I think that the unstated reason is that, the deployment, redeployment of these guys really took a toll. Unprecedented. And a piece of it has to do with this volunteer army and the lack of replacement troops we had over there. But you pointed out the more recent wars have come back with higher rates, and that's possibly one reason why. You then gave your reason if they had more accessibility, the suicide rates might be lower, but again, would like to have your feelings in that statement too. And that'd make me feel better or good. On your actions, you said donate, go volunteer at the VA. I'm not sure all these people know where the VA is. I know it's in your backyard, but don't assume the curse of knowledge that everyone knows what you know, see? So tell the audience, go down Wilshire and you can't miss it. Underneath the freeway, it's sprawls on both sides, right?
Yeah.
And go there and volunteer. And I like the idea of thanking a veteran for their service. I'm not really hip on giving some of them money because it's used for drugs and not for food. I'm more into buying a meal for veterans than giving them $5 that can go up their arm. Your summary was good. Your conclusion was good. Your tie back was fine. Your canais were to have more emotions, be dynamic, and have a better flow in your speech. How'd it go?
I don't think I did the last one. I don't think that the other two.
Yeah, what do you think was wrong with the flow? Just that you didn't practice it enough and you were kind of halting with it?
Yeah, I mean, it was more, I hadn't done it all the way through enough, so it just wasn't something that was more like improvising with what I know.
Yeah, well, that's fine. We were learning extemporaneous speaking.
Yeah.
And you had the schema in your head beautifully. You knew all the 7 parts, so that was beautifully done. Let me hear your evaluation of its stickiness.
I think it was simple because it was a pretty simple idea just to help veterans.
Mm-hmm.
It was unexpected. I would say like the first opening.
About the guy at the mic?
Yeah, that was unexpected. It was concrete for the most part, except I didn't have the years that they were I just thought they were like very recent, so I just didn't put them in. But I should have. And it was credible, I guess. Or I guess that was where I should have probably put the year.
Right. Concrete is where you
Yeah.
gave specific people examples and you weren't too abstract about giving us the deep psychological dimensions of PTSD. That some people would go off on a tangent and get real abstract about PTSD and talk about 7 new treatments that are out there. So, that's getting too abstract for a speech like this. Too.
And story, I have one story.
Yeah. So the more stories, the better.
Yeah.
Did a nice job, Daniel. Thank you. Okay, we're on red. How's our time looking? Oh, we're out of time. So we'll have to get them all in, including 2.
Yeah.
So can you stay after if you have to?
Next class?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, any questions about the final exam? Make sure you follow the prompt and the model that I gave you. Exactly. Single-sided page, double space. Every page numbered with your name on every page. Thank you. Return with honor. So is your buddy going to show up Thursday?
Yeah. Well, on Wednesday.
I mean, when?
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
Like a couple of minutes ago, you said
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's double space. But your name should be a number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and your name on every page. Okay. So, what's your persuasive on?
about owning a dog.
A gun?
A dog.
Oh, a dog.
Yes.
A dog, yeah. You're saying you need a gun in Turkey. Yeah, a dog. Okay, that's good. You're trying to persuade people to buy a dog.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Good luck with that. Go ahead.
Can I know how I did the last 2?
Yeah, in a minute. You can look. Let me answer her question quickly.
For the sources, aside from the bibliography, do you want us to print them out?
Just the top page to show that you surfed the deep internet.
Okay.
But you saw how some people cited their sources and others didn't. So you saw what not to do and what to do, right? Yeah.
So I can say, like, according to the EPA in 2015, blah, blah, blah. Like something
Right.
Like that. Okay.
According to Jenny Brown, EPA administrator, who wrote in 2015. Yes,
Okay.
that's very credible. See?
Perfect.
As opposed to a study said.
Yeah.
Not getting that.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So this man wants to see his grades.
Is it possible to redo the...
Looking weak. I don't know if it's possible to redo. Probably not. You got 178 out of 200.
Is that a really bad score?
Well, it's not a great score. Some people got in the 190s. Some people got in the 180s.
Did anyone get lower than me?
Yes, no. Pedro. Same problem, not citing sources.
Is it possible for me to redo the speech on Wednesday? That way I could...
I don't know. If we have time, yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Yeah, I guess everyone should have a chance to redo them, right? But that's why I said to you and warned you and other people not to volunteer to go first, to learn from others and their mistakes and what you see and learn, and to,
When did you say
Pick
that?
up the tips. I've been saying it all along.
And not go first?
Don't. It's a bad idea. It's always a bad idea to go first.
You were saying that someone. No, you never said that. You never said that.
Yes, I did. Okay. But you see what I mean?
Yes.
Regardless of whether I said it or not. Do you see what I mean now?
Like going first.
The wisdom of learning from others' errors and not screwing up. The other thing that you could have, I don't know what